Welcome to another episode of the Katrina Johnson Show, the inspirational podcast providing information and inspiration for your transformation. I'm your host, Katrina Johnson, helping you with your self-improvement and growth mindset journey. So grateful to have you as a listener. Thank you in advance for sharing, rating, and supporting my show. This podcast episode is brought to you by Living Life from Within, How to Get What You Want in Life. It's my uplifting guide full of inspiration to help you transcend life challenges and tap into your inner strength and divine compass. Are you seeking to unlock the abundant blessings waiting for you? Look no further. Dive into the transformative pages of my book where you'll learn how I was able to connect with the divine as my ultimate source and how you can do the same. You will not only learn to recognize the whispers of your inner voice, but also harness the power to manifest your deepest desires. Within the pages of my book, you'll be guided towards a deeper understanding of how to align your life with the divine flow of abundance. Let this book be your gateway to a life filled with purpose, fulfillment, and unwavering faith. Get ready to be blessed, informed, inspired, and transformed like never before. Don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity. Purchase your copy, and while you're at it, a copy for someone you may think may benefit from the book as well. Living Life from Within, How to Get What You Want in Life. To purchase your copy, simply click the link in the podcast show notes. In today's episode, I share a clip from Terry Savelle Foy. Terry is going to encourage you to look at life in a different way, to get better, to do better, and to not give up. And just let you know that you can overcome once you make the decision for change. Terry Savelle Foy coming up.
All that. Well, I do want to say, having the honor to get to travel to different churches and stuff, I hope y'all realize how blessed we are to get to come here every week and learn from the best. I mean, they're constantly challenging us to think bigger, dream bigger, expect bigger, make our biceps bigger. I told the first service I've never seen so many bodybuilders in one church. Sometimes, like Pastor Sheila told us to hug or shake hands while I go. I've had some of you nearly pick me up. I'm like, hey, put me down. Y'all, we got some big people in this church. But how many of you have never heard me before? Would you raise your hand? Okay, how many of you ladies were at the She Night Friday night? Did you warn your husbands, your boyfriends? Well, I always have to address the obvious because otherwise you're nudging your friend going, is this serious? She sounds like she's 7. So I always have to address the voice because when I call Domino's to order pizza, they'll go, does your mommy know you're doing this? I always go, no, but my husband does. So I read a scripture that says God speaks in a still small voice. I have the voice of God. Just want to throw that out there. I have the voice of God. But anyway, I just want to share a very practical message with you. Pastor's been talking all year about advancing in your life in every area. And I just want to share 5 habits with you that will advance your life, I believe, in record time. That what should take 5 years, God can do it in 1 year if you'll do this. Because that's exactly what happened in my life. So, y'all ready for a practical message? Okay, so let me just start out by telling you this story that I heard about John Maxwell. How years ago he was hosting his own conference, and he agreed at the end to do a Q&A with the audience. And there was this young guy who had just graduated with an MBA, and he was just admiring everything about this conference. So I want you to imagine 2,000 people in attendance who paid $2,000 each. So I like to just sort of get my pocket calculator and do the math, okay? So 2,000 times 2,000 is $4 million in 1 weekend. So this kid said to John Maxwell, he said, I want to do what you do. And Maxwell said, well, what do you think I do? He said, well, you speak at events like this, you write best-selling books, you impact lives. He said, I want to do that. And John Maxwell said, young man, it's not a matter of doing what I do. He said, the question is, do you want to do what I did so you can do what I do? And then the kid said, well, I want to lead a company or a department or a team. He said, where do I start? Maxwell said, good question. Start with you. He said, if you wouldn't follow yourself, why would anyone else want to follow you? So here's my point this morning. You can't have $1 million dream with minimum wage habits. You can't have $1 million dream with minimum wage habits. Second service is livelier because y'all slept in. First service just kind of stares. But so I just want to share with you these 5 habits. But first, let me explain this. How many of you have ever heard John Maxwell's rule of 5? He teaches a message about the rule of 5. Okay, what that message is he says, imagine that there's a tree in your backyard and you go pick up an axe, which I have, and you swing at that tree 5 times and you put the axe down. And the next day you pick up the axe and you swing at the tree 5 times, put it down. Every single day you swing at the tree 5 times. He said, not 500, not 50. What eventually will happen to the tree if you swing at it 5 times every single day? He said it's going to fall. We don't have to debate that. There's no question about it. So then John Maxwell says, simply, find your tree. Like, what is your dream, your goal? That if you were to do 5 simple things every day in the direction of that dream, mountains of impossible dreams would begin to fall down. So that's what happened in my life. And just to kind of give you some backstory, because there's a lot of people who've never heard of me before, and you have to really appreciate what God has done. You know, we're so grateful. I feel like the least likely person to be doing what I'm doing. And, you know, like David, they picked the least likely person because no one ever saw me doing this. But God has done big things. Like, I think we have 36 million views on YouTube now, almost 300,000 subscribers, 14 or 15 books I've written now. We have a weekly TV show called Live Your Dreams. So many amazing things. But to appreciate it, you have to know the backstory, don't you? So just in summary, real quick, I was telling the first service that I grew up in such a strong Word of Faith home. Some of you may know my dad, Jerry Savelle. He's my favorite preacher. You're second. And but, you know, I grew up knowing the Word of God. I was a cheerleader all through school. I was the homecoming queen. But I was hiding so much behind a big smile and hiding it from everybody. When I was 14 years old, I was raped by a guy at a fitness center in Shreveport, Louisiana. Never dreamed in a million years I would lose my virginity on a gym floor by a complete stranger. And Satan took full advantage of that moment. The moment that happened, I instantly took on the self-image of I literally thought I was the ugliest person in the world. I thought I was fat. I thought I was worthless. I thought I'm too shy. That's why that happened. I'm too insecure. And, you know, you've probably heard that phrase that you behave in a manner consistent with how you see yourself. If you see yourself like trash, you'll let people treat you like trash. So I did. Got into an abusive relationship with a guy. Stayed with this guy for over 2 years. Everything from throwing me on the dirt, strangling me, locking me in a car and banging my head on a steering wheel several times. And I just stayed with him because I felt so worthless. Finally got out of that relationship. And when I was in college at Texas Tech, my last semester of college, right before I graduated, I got pregnant before marriage. So I just felt like the biggest failure, the biggest loser. I borrowed my sister's wedding dress, got married 3 weeks after I found out I was pregnant. Imagine walking down the aisle and there's your dad, Jerry Savelle, and Kenneth Copeland performing the wedding. And I was so ashamed. I literally walked the whole aisle with my head down. 3 weeks after my wedding, I lost the baby. So I just felt like a loser. And I just sort of slid into a rut without realizing it for 11 years. So all of a sudden, in 2002, that was 11 years after my wedding, 2002, I just looked at my life. I was separated from my husband on the verge of divorce. I'd been living paycheck to paycheck, had no money in my savings account. I had no vision for my life. My house was a mess. I was a mess. And at that time, I had a 5-year-old little girl looking to me for a role model. And I like to explain it like this. I kind of just looked into my future and just realized, unless I start making some decisions to change, this isn't going to be a season of regret. This is going to be a whole lifetime of regret. And I didn't have someone like Pastor Keith Craft come to the house and give me a personal growth track. I just got desperate for change. And one of the first things I did was I said, my dad's taught me when you're going through trials, that's not the time to run from God. That's the time to run to God. So I just set a goal. I said, I'm going to make myself listen to a faith-building message every single day for 21 days. That was my big goal in life. Because I'd heard if you do something consistently for 21 days, you can break a habit and start a new one, right? So I said, I'm going to do this every day for 21 days. Well, at the end of 21 days, I thought, I don't want to stop. I'm going to go for 30 days. Then at the end of 30, I said, I'm going to go 2 months. Then I went for 3 months. Y'all ready for this? That was in 2002, and I've never stopped. I woke up this morning in Rockwall, Texas, and I listened to a faith-building message. But here's what happened. In that first 21-day period, as I'm listening to messages, I heard John Maxwell make this statement that changed my life. He said, if I could come to your house and just watch you for 24 hours, I could tell whether or not you're going to be a success or a failure. He said, you pick the day, but let me just watch you from the moment you wake up until you go to bed that night. He said, just by observing you in one full day, I can tell you what direction your life is going to go. I thought, how in the world? He said, the reason I say that is because the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. I am absolutely 100% convinced that if you'll change your routine, you can change your whole life.
I want to take a moment to speak with you about BetterHelp, a sponsor of the Katrina Johnson Show. You know I'm big on inspiring people to live their best lives. But sometimes we need a little more than words of inspiration. When mental health interferes with your daily routine and lifestyle, you need someone to confide in that can help you with sorting through your emotions. That's exactly what BetterHelp is all about. It's professional therapy done securely online and is available to clients worldwide. With BetterHelp, you can get your needs assessed and be matched with your own licensed professional therapist. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. Remember, living your best life begins with taking care of your mental health. BetterHelp, a sponsor of the Katrina Johnson Show, wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/KJ Show. That's BetterHelp, HELP, and join the over 500,000 people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. And here is a special offer for the Katrina Johnson Show listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/KJ Show. Again, that was Terry Savelle Foy. You can hear the entire talk on YouTube at Terry Savelle Foy, 5 Things Successful People Do Before 8 a.m. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks again for listening. You can find me online at katrinajohnson.online, at I am Katrina Johnson on Instagram, and on YouTube, Katrina Johnson Inspires at The Katrina Johnson Show. Until next time, stay inspired.